Welcome back to 9 to 5 with Wangari. Wangari, your host, and this is 9 to 5, where we talk about all things in the workplace, the good, the bad, the ugly, and just giving you authentic, real, and insightful conversations about topics of the workplace that are important. Today, I am joined by a really cool guest. We're talking financial management in the workplace. You know, we work for money, but sometimes we get into situations where we have to get into debt, whether we need to get a car or go on holiday, but we never know, is it good to get money for going on holiday? And we're just going to be talking about that. When's a good time to get debt? What good debt looks like? How do I know how much I should actually borrow? Am I borrowing above my capacity? So that's just the conversation we're going to have today. And I'm joined by Kevin Mutiso, who's the chairman of the Digital Lenders Association of Kenya, and also a CEO. He's been a CEO of a company who I had like the privilege of working with earlier on, Alternative Circle. And also right now he's doing stuff in Boda, which we'll get to know a little bit more, called Oh Yeah. I love the name. So yeah, welcome Kevin. Tell us about yourself.
What do you want to know? My name is...
Let's start there. That's a good one.
I love, my favorite thing is my names are.
My names are. Yeah, that's what we're taught in school.
So Kevin Mutiso is my name. I'm an entrepreneur.
Love it.
So I invest my time, money, and skill sets to building businesses that could make Africa the most modern place by 2050. And so currently I am the CEO of a company called Oye Platform Solutions. Oye, yeah.
Check it out, guys.
We're building basically a financial services ecosystem for border riders.
Yeah.
And we're starting by giving them free insurance.
Yeah. Free?
Yes, free insurance every time they use our product. And then in addition to that, I have been helping teams build solutions in last mile retail, which is basically a supermarket.
Yes.
We've got a payments team, and then I advise entrepreneurs voluntarily, or sometimes I get paid.
Voluntarily, nice guy. I like, first of all, you're giving away insurance for free to borders, which is lovely. And yeah.
So guess what? 36% of all road traffic accidents are border related.
36%?
Of all. Not
so
just...
is that in Kenya or in East Africa? That's crazy.
Yeah. So and
less
than 3% of them have medical insurance.
Oh no.
So you can imagine the kind of risk they face. So what we're trying to do is, how do we give them a solution that gets them to understand how insurance works?
Yeah, because it's always complicated.
Yeah. Insurance is hard to sell.
Yeah.
So sort of teach how insurance works, and then sort of build the knowledge there. So financial products such as lending, which is our forte, will come in later on. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thanks for that intro. I'm really keen to understand, like, as an entrepreneur, I can imagine finances have ebbed and flowed. I want to hear about the highs, the lows, just that journey. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be entrepreneurs, but I'm always like, steady income is nice sometimes, and entrepreneurship looks tough. Yeah.
No, it is. I think entrepreneurship is a very tough sport. I think it's misunderstood, and it's been romanticized and fetishized.
Fetishized. I like that word.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. So people think it's a very noble sort of calling, but and it is. I think it's probably the highest calling known to man.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
But it is not for the faint of heart.
Okay.
So my own personal story, as an entrepreneur, your job is to allocate capital.
Yes.
And capital is everything that you can use to gain a strategic advantage. And some capital also equals money sometimes. And sometimes you have to take debt for your business.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take debt personally, so that you...
Personally?
Yes, to manage risks. So, just COVID time, our business was severely affected.
Sorry to hear.
And also, let me give you another insight. Entrepreneurs fail all the time. So once we get to a certain level, being told sorry is a little bit weird because you're like, no, I took the risk.
Okay, good on you. Proud of you then.
I took the risk. I'm standing again. So
Okay.
I would rather be patted on, but good to see you're still alive.
You're still standing.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
that's a better one.
All right.
Anyway, and yeah, I mean, I had taken debt. So what happened was in 2017, we had a string of fraudulent transactions on our business. And what that did is that it reduced the amount of capital we had.
Yeah.
And we had just raised $1 million. So everyone
Yeah.
thought we had a lot of money, but we had lost so much that now we were in a very dire position. So in 2018, I had to cut the team from 16 to 8.
Oh, no.
And sort of rebuild the system again without all the loopholes. And we relaunched in 2019. And the idea in 2019 was, how do we prove to the banks that our algorithm, the way we look at data and everything, is actually the future of how you sort of create what you call a credit scorecard. Yeah. And so in 2019, we sort of had a little pool of capital and we were circulating it on our product. And by, June, we were profitable.
Oh, nice.
But profitable on the product, but not profitable as a business.
Yeah.
Because we needed a new injection of capital to get to that profitability. Anyway, fast forward to late 2019, early 2020, we find a bank, they're willing to invest in us. And we're just going through the rigmarole of legal. Because if you've ever worked with a bank, the legal takes
a while.
Yeah. So anyway, then March 13 came. COVID hit. The bank pulled out. My investors pulled out.
Oh, no.
I had taken a personal loan to keep my family afloat with the thinking of that in just a few months, we'll be able to start repaying that loan with the salary. Because by sort of mid-2020, to continue paying everyone else, I had now stopped paying myself.
Oh, no.
So that we can make... No, this is the game of entrepreneurship, right?
That's what I'm already for.
The days where the strategy is working now, but you have to now get you're waiting to a checkpoint, and at that checkpoint, there'll be some unlocking of value.
Yeah.
Therefore, you'll get some money in your pocket.
Oh, it's so selfless.
It is.
Yeah.
To be a good entrepreneur, you have to be selfless, and you have to lead your team from the front.
Yeah.
And that's every leader that is a leader today will tell you they learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Because there's that one time where you're either a coward or you're
brave.
You realize what it does to morale. You realize that people then don't just buy your vision anymore. They're like, this guy will ditch us anytime.
Yeah.
So you now realize very quickly, you have to lead from the front, last man on the boat, type thing.
In terms of your family, what impact did that have? Because I know you have children, a wife.
Yeah, it was tough. So I had to sell my house.
Oh my God.
I had to sell my car. I had to change the school my daughter went to. She went to a very good school.
Yeah.
And then, and survive. But that's what I mean. So to the point where, then that's where I was getting to the story. So 2020 comes. I have a mortgage. I've taken some personal debt. The company has some debt.
Yeah.
Of course, then you have the usual payment, salaries, rent, etc.
Yeah.
And now you're just in this black hole, and everyone's putting a gun to your head, saying, "Where's my money?"
Jeez.
Right?
I hope that wasn't really happening. No gun.
It was. That's what I'm saying. It really was.
Okay. I'm kind of allowed to say I'm sorry because that's just...
I'm still standing.
You're still standing. Okay.
Yeah, and so...
Love it.
I think what helped me most is two things. I have a very good life partner who is now my wife.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
And she sort of not only helped me financially, but even mentally got me to say, Kevin...
As a man saying that, you've been giving me goosebumps. Thank you for saying that.
No, just basically saying, you can do it again, don't give up on yourself. So getting me back into the mental space where I could start rebuilding. And then secondly, I have amazing friends.
Yeah.
And some of them are lawyers, friends and family, I'd say. And they came together and sort of, we came up with a strategic plan for 9 months and getting back on track.
That's so nice.
And so my sort of key insights from that time is first you have to prioritize which debts right?
Yeah.
So now you look at everyone, all money,
yeah,
and then say which one's the highest priority and which one's the lowest priority. And unfortunately, those that fall in the low priority could be people you even care about.
Yeah.
But if you don't pay your mortgage, the interest is going to continue rising.
Yeah.
There's going to be auction.
Yes.
It's just going to be more of a mess.
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is get rid of what you call institutional debt.
Institutional debt. Very smart. Okay.
So I got rid of institutional debt.
Yeah.
I was able to sell some assets.
Okay.
Which is what you do with assets. In fact, the best analogy I have is when the boat is sinking, you start throwing things out.
Okay.
To stay afloat.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what selling assets does.
Yeah.
Put some of that cash we got, pay down the assets, and then put it aside to now then survive.
Okay.
Right, for the next sort of 9 months. Because the other thing when you have a lot of debt and you're clearing up a mess is no one's going to hire you until you clear that mess.
Yeah,
no one's going to invest in you until you clear. Yeah. So you need some survival money. And then now you move to the third phase, which is now the ones that are relationship, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So usually the types of people who give you debt are that are relationship based are investors.
Investors, yeah.
In fact, just say investors generally. So, and then investors are friends and family, and then of course institutions. Now, friends, so the institutions mostly that invest are family offices when you're a startup. So this is a family, they've made money, and they've come up with a structure to invest in new ideas so that they preserve their own capital. Those ones were the easier ones because they've lost money before. They're usually entrepreneurs.
Really? Yeah, they understand.
They understand. So the deal usually is, okay, you owe me 5 million. What are you going to give me now? And you can negotiate what is called a haircut.
A haircut.
A haircut. And they say, okay, instead of giving me 5 million, give me 2, and we call it quits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Such people exist?
If you know how to negotiate,
that's amazing. Okay.
Right? And I think the second piece, and this is now specific to your audience, that is the entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, do not take money from people who cannot afford to lose that money.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you think about it, on the family office side, they've written it off their balance sheet. They said, pesa imepotea.
It's gone.
So if I get 2 million, it's now a profit.
Yes.
Right? It's something they removed from the budget and whatnot. That's why they can afford to give you a haircut.
Okay, gotcha.
So negotiated haircuts and then different structures. So some people, a haircut in a payment plan.
Okay, yeah.
Others was a haircut, and then in my new business, they're going to be investors.
Okay.
And giving them the cheaper sort of rate.
Yeah.
Because the other thing a good investor would probably realize is, this guy didn't lose the money because he stole or because he was, It was just timing, bad luck.
Yeah.
The guy is a good guy. Giving him stress is going to hurt, him in the long run. Why don't I help him so that he always has a soft spot for me?
Yeah.
So I have two guys, for example, who anytime I have an idea today, I call them because they had my back when I really needed them.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And then you've got friends and family who actually need the money and they're lending you because on your word.
Yeah.
And now you have been unable to pay them. So what likely happens there is everyone's going to be raw.
Yeah.
People are going to be touchy. So what I'd advise anyone is first, don't take any rumors.
Can you give an example? What are some rumors that were...
No, I mean, I don't want to go into it because I don't even know.
Okay, yeah.
And even if I did, I've forgiven and let go.
Okay, that's fine.
But my point is, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
People are raw. You've lost their money. Guys are pissed.
Yeah,
whether you like it or not.
They're going to be pissed.
They're going to be pissed. It was their savings.
Yeah.
Perhaps they were planning a holiday. Perhaps it was the deposit to a house. Maybe their wife and he had taken it without telling the wife clear terms and, And you have to just be candid and, accept.
Honest and communicate,
accept that they're not going to be happy. You're going to have a tough conversation.
Yeah.
And if they even go as bad, crazy, accept it.
Yeah.
The objective there is to continuously communicate.
Communicate, I always say, like even when you lend someone money, just tell me what's going on.
Just tell me what's going on. And sometimes you might not be able to do so, but because you're also, as I said, in the process, of getting unbundling these messes, there are more than 5 or 6 people who are putting a gun to your head.
Oh, jeez.
So sometimes you forget to communicate. Other times,
yeah, it's stressful.
It's stressful. Other times you just don't have the energy.
Yeah.
My point is, try and just make it at least a quarterly communication thing, right?
Awesome.
So that it even gives them that rhythm of, October they should be expecting something, and then January, Feb they should be expecting something.
Okay.
And that's the advice I'd give. And then, even if you owe somebody $1 million, Bob, and all you can do is pay them $5,000 a month, just start doing it as soon as you can. Because you might not be able to do it, but as soon as you can, start paying them back pole pole.
Awesome.
Right? And that's what I've done.
Okay, I like that. That's very smart. So start with like the institutional debt, to like the banks, the people who you can't go have a nice conversation. Please come. And then the second layer is, what did you call them again? The
sort of what I call maybe accredited investors. Yeah. So they didn't give you debt like a bank, but it was still debt.
It was still debt. And then down to the people with you can have relationships with, and just have constant communication, telling them where you're up to.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Just a question on how much did you know you needed? Like, how do you know how much you need as an entrepreneur? How much you should borrow?
That's a good question. So usually it depends on, so entrepreneurs, the way I define them are people who are trying to create value and capture that value for their shareholders through the company they've set up. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to solve for a problem statement. So, when you're analyzing the problem statement, you're sort of asking yourselves 3, 4, 5 questions, right? One is, what's the problem?
Yep.
Right? And how much does it cost to solve that problem? And is the customer that you're targeting going to be able to pay the cost of solving that problem?
Yes. Okay.
And if they are, do you make a margin by charging whatever you're charging to solve for that problem?
Yeah.
That's point number 1. So then you sort of have what you call price discovery.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have, just before price discovery, you're doing the ideation, which is identifying that problem statement, and then sort of what is the cost of building the fast solution.
Yeah.
And then getting into the market, and then what's the cost of acquiring that customer. And then you sort of extrapolate it.
Okay.
Right? My rule of thumb, I follow Bill Gates. Bill Gates says always have 1 year's salary in the bank.
Like
right?
for
the whole team.
For the whole team.
Yeah. Always have 1 year's salary in the bank for the whole team. And so budget that in that whole sort of, so the product, 1 year's salary, and then have like half of a year's salary just as in case.
Just as in case.
Because entrepreneurship is life. Things go left all the time. So there's always a cost here, cost there. And the earlier your business is, the more unpredictable it is. Because a mature business is a predictable ship.
Yeah.
Right? A startup is unpredictable. So you want to have 1 year salaries, you want to have enough to build a solution and acquire your first set of customers, and then you want to have at least half of 1 year salary sitting somewhere as in case. Okay,
awesome. Thanks for that. That's super clear. I just want to bring back to, I know you're very active in the digital lending space, and just again, for my listeners and audience, they're usually people who are working between the age of like 25 and 44. Borrowing has become very, very easy for like us guys. You download an app, you're easily borrowing. What are some of the things you think we should look out for when we're borrowing, like even from big institutions, or like even the smaller people in the apps that we.
So I'm excited because
good.
Access to credit is what you're defining.
Yeah.
Which is, it's easy. We're number 4 in the world.
In terms of easy access
to credit.
Oh, that's good to know.
Number 1 in Africa.
Number 1 in Africa.
Number 1 in Africa. So we need to recognize that as a big feat.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I keep saying, and I hope your audience is listening. Kenya punches way above its weight in a lot of things. And we should be proud of who we are.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do you look for? So the first question when you take a loan, you're asking yourself is, why do I need this money?
Yes, that's
Right?
a big one.
Yeah, why? And if the answer is because I want that pair of shoes to look sexy at this bash, right, then you shouldn't take that loan.
Don't do that.
Don't take that loan.
Okay.
If it is, I need to buy a car so that I can be earlier to the office.
I mean, like, take your kids to school.
And then combine that by taking your kids to school because you want to spend time with your kids in the car and still get to the office on time. And yes, it's going to be a bit of a pain, but that's the sacrifice you're making, then take that loan.
Take that loan.
Because the way you ask, the question you need to ask yourself is, what value do I get from taking this loan? If I borrow 1,000,000 shillings, I'm asking myself, okay, will this 1,000,000 shillings bring me back itself?
Yeah.
Plus something on
else.
top.
Yeah.
And like my earlier mentors or my older mentors use the example of cows, like you want a cow to give you another cow and more babies, That's how you should think about money.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes the personal side, the return is not cash, and that's why I use the example of, are you borrowing to buy a car so that you spend time with your kids?
There's value there still.
Yes, there's value there, and it might not be quantifiable, but the lessons and the time you're imparting with your kids is going to pay off in a later time, and that sacrifice is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is why.
Yeah.
The second thing is when you understanding the return.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is the price on the loan.
Yes.
Is it commensurate with the return?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're being charged 20% per month and you're buying a car, I don't know if that's a good idea.
It's not.
If you're being charged 15% a month and you're sort of buying as a good that you'll flip for 60% within that same month, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. So it's doing that mathematics and understanding the price. And then, of course, understanding the consequence of default.
Okay.
Right? Which is the fourth thing. What happens when you default?
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I gave those, like the financial institutions.
Yeah, that's where you...
Yeah. I knew that if I default on those ones, my reputation in the financial services in the sector is done. Yeah. I need to pay back the banks.
Yeah.
And anyone like that. It's the same thing. Are you going to be auctioned?
Yes.
Are you going to be blacklisted? Are you going to be put on? Are you not going to be eligible for future board positions and stuff like that? And those are the questions you need to ask yourself. Are you going to be, is your family going to be left without a home, etc., etc., etc. So you need to understand the consequences of default. And the reason why I'm saying this is, I find that the Kenyan borrower has an attitude that is, once they take the money, they assume the money is theirs now. Right? And they don't realize that actually the business of lending is when you repay, is when now the lender makes his money or makes her money.
Yeah.
So if you don't repay,
I'm
not making money. And if I'm not making money, I'm not going to be able to lend someone else and build my business. And so that misunderstanding that actually we have a very symbiotic relationship between the lender and the borrower. We're actually on the same side.
We're on the same side.
Yeah. We're actually on the same side. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's why I always say I got into banking and finance, because I really do believe like borrowing for the right reason, like even just buying like your home for your children or your family is a good enough reason to borrow. And you're helping, an institution is helping like a person build that future and that home. So yeah, I completely get that. But sometimes I think it gets lost when things get tough, or like, you lose your job or you fall sick and what happens. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that. Just to touch on, I know some people really feel like they're living from like hand to mouth, they get paid, they go to bills, they go to the lenders. Do you have like any advice how to get out of that? Because we talk a lot about borrowing or like lending, as you said, but like there's not enough conversations, I believe, happening on how to even just start saving.
So I love that question.
Yeah.
If my hero is a guy called Warren Buffett.
Oh, me too. I love Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. I've loved him since I was 12.
Oh, 12, okay.
So we can compete.
No, me not 12. Maybe until I started understanding money, but not 12.
No, me I've loved Warren.
He's number one fan.
And it's actually sycophantic. I made fun of in my house.
Oh, okay. He's a good idol to have, yeah.
But I've studied the guy, and the one lesson that he tells everyone, that if there's anything you want to remember, is money in should always be more than money out. Full stop.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that discipline is the trick. Because the thing about making money is a thing called compounding.
Yes.
Right? You just want your money to compound.
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is build the first little pool of capital.
Yeah.
In Kenya, if you're able to get to 1 million shillings, right, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Then from there now you say, I want to compound my money by 10% every year for the next 50 years.
Yes.
Right? By the end of that 50 years, you'll be surprised you could have 1 billion shillings in your bank account.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're just compounding by 10%,
10%.
10.
Yeah.
Now what entrepreneurs do is we try and change that 10 to 30, 40, maybe even 200.
Wow.
That's why sometimes we lose everything.
Yeah, because it's also a risk you're taking.
Because that's a risk you're taking.
Yeah.
So if you're not an entrepreneur, be conservative.
Conservative, yeah.
Yeah. Build up your capital pole pole. Then start understanding what the risks you can take and how you can compound once you get to your 1 million shillings. And then now start setting targets for yourself. Once you get to 10 million, okay, what's next? Once you get to 100 million, okay, what's next?
Okay.
And if you use those types of goals in your mind, it'll help you get well on your way to financial freedom. If you're an entrepreneur, the single most important variable in business is timing.
Timing, okay.
Yeah, so learn how to understand your timing. It's an innate, it's one of those skills you'll never be taught. So you have to, because it's a very nuanced thing. You have to understand the context, you have to understand the business, you have to understand the numbers, you have to understand your market demographics, how those market demographics are expanding, where they're going to be in 5 years, 10 years. You have to start thinking about how do I defend these business lines, etc. So as an entrepreneur, what you're really learning, and that's why the best way to be an entrepreneur is just by jumping in.
So because I was just going to say you're very knowledgeable about entrepreneurship, financial management. Did you just learn by being in that space?
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12.
12.
Yeah,
Since you're 12? Okay.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. My dad on my 16th birthday gave me 100,000 shillings.
Wow, go daddy.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Because he saw I was obsessed with the stock market, so I invested money in the stock market.
Yeah, that's dope.
And I made quite a bit by the time I was in Form 4, right? And then in Form 4, I tried a couple of other businesses. Some did well, some failed.
Yeah.
We had everything from M-Pesas to little stalls, we tried advertising, we tried selling phones. Right?
Everything.
We tried having an Orange dealership. My first an Orange Telecom dealership.
Oh, Orange Telecom.
Yeah, my first business that I sold was a garbage business.
Okay.
And this is before we were 20. And then I started working. I was very fortunate. When I finished Form 4, I remember when we finished Form 4, you had to go to either IAT or you went to ICDL or you did accounts.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate. I didn't want to do that. Okay. My mom actually, my brilliant mother, told my father, this guy, if you take him to those things, he's just going to be here bangtaizing.
Yeah.
Find him a job. Because what used to happen is during the holidays would work for my dad as his son. So this guy loves working. He likes this thing called money. He loves it. My mom and my dad agreed to that, and then I said I want to work on the stock exchange. And fortunately, again, pure luck.
It's not luck. I don't believe it.
No. It's pure luck. I tell you, Kengen was having its IPO.
Oh, wow.
This was back in 2006. If this was 04, it would never have been possible.
Yeah.
If this is 02, it would never have been. It was just happened to 06.
You're right there at the right time.
I'd had a computer at home, and they were looking for data entry clerks. And my grandma knew the CEO, and then it was like my grandson, grandmothers, they'll kill it for you, right?
Yep.
Ken went in, the guy asked me, do you know how to use a computer? I nodded. I didn't even say it. I just said, the guy said, go, because Kengen was so popular.
Yeah.
And they needed people just to put
data
in
entry.
Jackie, they just needed that. And a year later, by that point now I'd gotten into the system, and I used to not manage, but I used to help the account managers manage some clients. And one client really liked me, and they told me they have a chama. So he brought me on board, 20 million shillings, and we built that to 200 million.
Oh, wow.
And I was 20 years old. 20? Yeah, so from 20 to 24, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a really great story.
Yeah, so that's my story.
It's a really, I think it's going to inspire.
I hope it does.
So sometimes in the workplace, I personally myself, it's very hard to find someone who can give you really good financial advice. You seem very knowledgeable. I think you should get into that, make it a proper business if I was you. But are there any credible organizations where you can go hey, this is what I want to do. This is how much money I have. This is what I want to save, what I want to invest in. Because it's sometimes tough to get that information. And I wouldn't personally say I'm a risk taker. So I'm those conservative people, and I bet a lot of people in the workplace, that's why we're there.
So financial literacy is definitely a lot of the product roadmaps for the current financial products we're building. So awesome. Yeah, for sure, right? We want let me give you some context. So when I was going through my crisis in 2020, I realized that I needed to redesign my life or rethink my strategy, because I was in a hole again.
Yeah.
Right? So something obviously went wrong.
Yeah.
Right? My plan wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I actually took a bit of time also to reflect, a lot of time. And I came up with I realized actually that the thing that was missing is that I wasn't living a purpose-driven life.
Okay, I love that.
So I didn't have a mission I was trying to accomplish. Yeah. And so I decided, and of course, when you seek inspiration, you go to all the big guys and all the greats.
Or psychedelics. Anyway.
I mean... I don't know what those are.
You don't know what those are? Okay.
Thank you for mentioning them. I do not condone the use of drugs. Anyway, that's so funny though. But in addition, so spent a lot. And then of course, reading and talking to people who inspire you, and a lot of them were saying, give yourself an audacious goal. And at the time, I had just worked on a very interesting project, and I had sort of gotten through DLAK, that is, and I had just gotten access to senior people in government, and I was now starting to interact with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Kenya is an amazing place. I had traveled the world because of fintech, and had now sort of gotten this sense of who I am and who we could be. And so I set this ambitious goal my goal is to help Kenya and Africa be the most modern place by 2050. And the way I'm going to do that is by entrepreneurship. So I'm going to enable entrepreneurship in everything that I do.
Okay.
So
that is your purpose.
That's my purpose. So my thing is entrepreneurs. So if you're an employee, I'm not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Probably, because I'm also quite abrasive. Entrepreneurs don't bullshit very often.
Yeah.
We're sometimes aloof, even perceived as arrogant, but that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
What matters to me is if you're an entrepreneur, you have a problem, you reach out to me, I'll always make time for you.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
And if you're working on something exciting that can change the world positively, and we can make a lot of money, because that's
you have to make money.
We have to make money.
Yeah.
I might even partner with you and help you build that, because now I've built skill sets that could help you get there faster.
Yeah, gotcha.
So financial literacy for sure is part of our plan. In fact, I should have been, I want to have a TikTok strategy, because I love TikTok.
I love TikTok,
yeah. I love TikTok. I'm
it's
obsessed.
the best.
2 hours a day easy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a problem in my house.
Me actually, yeah. But TikTok is great.
When guys are asleep, I'm just there on TikTok. But I have a TikTok strategy. Hopefully we'll launch it soon. It's just I've been busy on a much more urgent project.
Okay, cool. So it's good to know if you're an entrepreneur and looking for financial literacy. And that's hopefully like in everything, just not tech. The arts, music.
Oh yeah, I mean, running a supermarket is a different game.
Yeah.
This week I was helping someone. They do logistics.
Okay, interesting.
Right, and they just reached out to me and they had this idea, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give you 30 minutes and listen to the problem. And I actually want to join him because he's solving a really big issue and he's already making money. He's doing $200,000 a month.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I was like, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah. All right, cool. Again, thank you so much for just coming here on this show and just speaking. It's like been amazing. I'm pretty sure people will love the content that you're sharing. It's not often we hear the journeys of entrepreneurs. Sometimes I think we just forget like the first 20 years and just see their success, and that's what we focus on.
They see the jet
and
they're like,
that's it. We got there so easily. But yeah, it's been good. Is there anything like any parting shot, like just whether it's around financial management or entrepreneurship that you wanted to just share? Yeah,
I mean, I'll just echo or repeat, money in must be more than money out. So get that discipline in early. The earlier you do it, the better.
Yeah.
Ask, seek advice. You're not the first, you're not the last.
Yeah.
Right? And then 3, learn how to manage your ego, bias, and fear.
I love that. Yeah, that's like a good life lesson, managing your ego, bias, and fear. Yeah, that's really awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And yeah. Great. Guys, that was Kevin Mutiso. You can find him on LinkedIn. Just go look him up. Twitter, and soon TikTok.
I'm already on TikTok though, but I have only one video. It's not a good one.
It starts with one. So yeah, thanks. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and just comment. And see you in the next one. Ciao.